Everybody look good?
Yeah.
Ready to go?
Well, I sound good. I don't know if I look good.
Yeah,
That's a
you
fair
look great.
point. Here we go. Well, folks, you win some, you lose some, and sometimes the stats do lie, as New York's low-ranked defense does more than enough to stifle Washington's offense and, in turn, their season. We put the kibosh on this one off the whimper of a Kirk Cousins interception, and just like that, we're chugging along to next summer. But hey, we've been here before, and while we're still feeling the sting, we know in our hearts it ain't all that bad. So stick with us. The final recap's coming up next, right here on the Hogside Podcast Network.
Welcome to the Hogside with your crew, Adam Tereski, Alex Zeese, Sean Conti, and Steve Thomas. And now, here's your host, Sean Conti.
Hey everybody, good to be back under somewhat dismal circumstances. Sean Conti here. How you feeling, Steve Thomas?
Oh, I honestly did not think the Redskins would lose this game, and so I came into it positive. I think I'm still undergoing shock. It's like, what's the term when you have to go through something bad?
The 12 stages of
PTSD.
Yeah, PTSD is what I was thinking of.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think I'm in the initial stages of post-traumatic stress, syndrome. So
Fair enough. Alex, you seemed right Johnny on the spot there with that 12 steps of grief. Are you? Is this what you're going through?
Well, yes and no.
I don't think
mean,
there's
here's
12
the thing.
steps of grief.
Well, what is it? The 12 steps?
Five.
4 steps. It's probably 4.
12 steps is you might need the 12-step program too, Alex. That's the alcohol. That's the AA.
Oh no, yeah, that's
step.
the alcohol thing. Oh, I'm
You might
fine
not
there.
want to memorize that one. Too.
I've got plenty of
That's the
alcohol.
next
I'm
step in
good
the
when it comes to
off-season.
how many steps of alcohol I need.
Yeah, you're forgiving your beer tonight.
Well, I'm going with the hard stuff. I did have a bottle of champagne all ready to go for this win, and now it's just sitting in my fridge. Very sad. But,
Sad,
what are you gonna do?
sad situation.
Yeah.
I don't know. Good question. How you feeling, Adam? Good to have you back, man. Are you toughing through this okay?
Yeah, I'm getting by. I'm pretty bummed out, but back-to-back winning seasons can't be too upset.
Yeah, a little
I
silver
guess you're
lining
right.
there, but
Yeah.
Well, guys, I'm feeling the disappointment majorly. Who wants to dip their toe in these frigid, cold, deathly waters first tonight?
God. Well, let's do might as well go through the game numbers, I guess.
And maybe we just skip to the second half. Do we have to talk about the
I can
first
do
half?
that. No, we have to talk about the first half because unfortunately that half occurred.
Okay,
On the game, yeah. Kirk Cousins was 22 of 35, 287 yards. That doesn't sound too bad, right, kids?
Oh, it's all Gucci.
8.2 yards per attempt. I mean, that's good. 1 touchdown. Anything else happen? Oh, the 2 interceptions. Dang it.
Dope. That's right.
Those 2 things. Yeah. Our running game was really on a hot streak today, on a tear. They were awesome. 15 carries, 38 yards.
Hey-yo.
2.5 yards per attempt. Robert Kelly worked his way into the Hall of
Dripping
Fame
with sarcasm.
consideration. 12 carries, 33 yards, 2.8 yards per attempt. Pierre Garcon, 4 receptions, 96 yards, and 1 just awful lateral there at the end of the game. Vernon Davis had like the catch of the game, 2 receptions, 49 yards. Jordan Reed showed his face again, 5 receptions, 40 yards. Chris Thompson, 6 receptions, 37 yards. Deshaun Jackson, very quiet game, did not. He barely made 100 yards or 1,000 yards on the season. 2 receptions, 34 yards. Jameson Crowder, 16 catches, 1 reception. Maurice Harris, 1 reception, 15 yards, and 1 slip that cost us the game. And that is
that was ugly.
yeah.
that is Redskins offense. Well, let's start with this. I don't have the number in front of me, but the pattern has held true. The run pass balance today, 35 passes, 15 runs.
Mm-hmm.
Granted, the run game is not working.
Right.
Yeah.
But the truth of the matter is this team loses every game when the run pass balance is that far out of whack. It's
Right.
just a fact, and it's just true. And Alex was laughing at me on Twitter over it
And
earlier.
I'm still right. And you want to know why? Because it's situational, Steve.
Well, you're totally wrong. The
I'm
game
not wrong.
proved
If
wrong.
you can't run the ball because they're stacking 8 in the box, you have to start throwing it to get them to loosen up the box. As soon as that happened and we got an effective passing game, the running game worked. Didn't you notice that in the second half? That's basic football knowledge.
The Redskins don't win the game when they don't.
Well, and I would just say this. I hear what you're saying, Alex, but I would just say this. Towards the end of the game there, this game was never that far out of hand. It really wasn't ever by score at any point.
I agree with you there.
Towards the end of the game there, 3 pass attempts in a row, all incompletes, ended up in like a 3 and out. I kind of hear, what Steve's saying here, because it did seem like with the game in hand, you got away from good football strategy and you got panicked.
Well, Jay Gruden panics more.
It's a chicken and the egg thing, though. If you have to have a working offense before you can go to a balanced pass run thing, because if you're just going to run it right up the gut and they have 9 guys up there in the box, it's not going anywhere, and that's what we saw.
I didn't say running up the gut.
Well,
I never said you had to hit the A gap every time.
It doesn't matter.
It does matter.
This team.
Like at halftime,
he can't run the ball.
At halftime, 13 passes, 7 runs.
Right. First off, that's pathetic because that's only 20 plays at half.
Yeah, I mean, there's other alarming things about those numbers.
Right. But we were. how many yards did we get in the first half running?
I think it was like 10. Oh my god. Yeah, I was going to say
10.
It's like 49 yards or something total or something, wasn't it? Or
well, that was
80. Something.
You're talking net, okay? Yeah. Gross yardage at halftime was 104 yards passing, 10 yards rushing, but there were 31 sack yards, and so you subtract that out, and that is out to let's say 114 minus 33. That's what is that? 76 yards.
Yeah.
I think
I was told there'd be no math, but yeah.
No, it really is a chicken and the egg thing. If the running game is working to start, I'm all for pounding the ball down their throats, doing a classic Redskin-style offense. But we saw it with the Panthers, too. You keep running against a brick wall, you're just going to hit the brick wall.
Well, let's hold on. Well, let's let Adam speak to this more. I mean, did you see anything to dictate this kind of balance? I mean, who's right here? Pick a side.
Pick a side. You must pick a side.
I would say it's a little bit of both. I think definitely
you must pick a side.
Yeah, maybe. We'll see at the end. Maybe I'll talk myself into it.
Okay. There you go.
I mean, with Snacks, Harrison, all them in the front, I knew we weren't going to be able to run the ball extremely well against them.
Sure.
But I wish we would have stuck with it a little bit more, because sometimes even when it's not working and you keep running it, it'll still set up the play action. Yeah. And I think it's more about what the passing game turns into when we're effective running the ball. When we run the ball, the play action's there. Kirk has more time in the pocket. He feels more confident in himself. And when he's confident, he's making his reads, going through them and hitting people that are wide open. And it just seems to click. And today it was not clicking.
Yeah, I mean, when you say also run, I mean, did you guys see the commercial they kept playing throughout the game? It was about Atlanta's offense and how a 4-yard run is really all you need to establish the run and make your opponent respect it.
We didn't have a 4-yard run in the first half.
Well, yeah, I mean, no, you're right about that. But I think the point to be made is that it doesn't take much. It doesn't take a huge lights-out running play to establish the run. Just consistent, 3 to 4 yards, that can make the difference.
4 yards a carry will get you first downs.
Oh, yeah. And that's great if we can do it.
But I'd like to go back to Adam's
We have a gimpy running back.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
No one talks about that. Our running back had a sprained knee. He shouldn't have been in there to begin with. I don't know why we weren't using one of our backups.
He was gimping a little bit.
Yeah.
You're right about that.
Well, Adam's exactly right. Let's go back to that because Adam said it. Kirk loves the play action. We saw it a lot today. He ran a lot of play action today, but the play action isn't nearly as effective when the threat of run really isn't there. You have to set the play action up early in the game. The Giants did it to us.
Right.
If you notice what happened is early in the game, they pounded the run repeatedly over and over and over again in the first half or in the first quarter. And then all of a sudden, they went to a pass heavy play calling setup early in the second quarter and everything opened up. It's because they tried to run the ball up front. I'm not saying we need to pound Rob Kelly up
46 yards on the ground in the first two times.
I'm not saying we need to pound Rob Kelly in the A gap 15 plays in a row, but you can't just abandon it completely. Jay Gruden abandons the run every time it doesn't work. You have to stick with it, and even if for no other reason, wear down the defense, a little bit. And Jay never does that. It's Jay's biggest flaw as a coach, in my opinion.
And I would say that's a great plan A, but you don't have a plan B, Steve. And that's the football.
He didn't
Football is
execute
guys
plan A,
playing
okay?
for your A game, which is
He didn't
still
execute plan A. We ran the ball 7 times in the first half. That's not executing plan A.
out of 13 and passed at 13. You said right?
Yeah, I mean,
pretty good
not
balance.
executing. No, it's
yeah,
not.
I mean, that 7 number stands out at you until you realize how few offensive plays we were really running. I think Alex has a point there.
It's more than
it was
it's
pathetic
almost
first.
twice the number of passes and runs.
With such a small sample size, though, the statistics get weird. It's I don't know. I'll tell you one thing that I definitely, because I think you have a point there, Steve, about Jay Gruden. Here's another thing. He single-handedly wiped a play off the board leading into the halftime there.
Oh, without
he
not
wasted
calling the
time.
timeout? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, this is I think clock management is something that goes back to a complaint about him from his first season with the team. That was another example of inexcusable. There's no reason to waste a play there.
He's had 3 of those this year.
mean-
And maybe it's me. If you
It's
have
atrocious.
30 seconds left, and this goes to the whole season. If you have 30 seconds left, take a deep shot. Don't just take a knee.
Yeah, I mean, and he's so prone to kneel it out. I thought he was going to, honestly.
Yeah.
I
He does
really
every time.
expected him to do it in a
No,
must-win
I
game.
completely
Brought him
agree.
up.
His clock management in that final 2 minutes has been bad, especially in the first half. The second half, he's better for some reason. The first half, he doesn't seem to care.
And you're right. He's done it 3 times this season.
It might be.
There's
more,
been
but at least
multiple
3 that I can
bad.
remember, yeah.
There's multiple bad clock management things at the end of the half this season. Yeah, he's not very good at that.
Yeah.
I mean,
I don't know
we
who you
could have had
blame
a
between
field goal
Cousins.
there. He wiped
Yeah.
points off the board there. We could have had a field goal there. It would have been manageable. Deshaun Jackson came up with a great catch there at the end of the half to bring them past midfield. If they had another play, could have been manageable. But of course, he kicked it. That was an atrocious field goal attempt too. Jesus, did you see that?
I mean, 50
Wide left about 40
7
yards.
yards. A tough ass.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm
even
not
get
going to blame
close,
him, but
though.
yeah,
I mean,
it's not like
golly.
he got close.
yeah. I mean, I would have liked that to see that go down the middle. For the love of God,
Yeah.
Or at least even get close to the middle.
But that's another thing about special teams too. That's another thing. They were coming close to blocking our kicks all night.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Especially on the right side, it seems like
Yeah.
that's where a lot of our pressure was coming. So
Well-
maybe that's why he shanks them left so often.
Now, see
Adam,
that
let's talk.
Maybe.
Adam, talk O-line, please. Because what I saw in the run game issues, that Rob Kelly had absolutely no room whatsoever. He was hit immediately.
Yeah.
Right off the bat. That looked to me like the line was getting dominated
Mhm.
Yeah.
in the first half, the run game. What'd you see?
Yeah, I mean, the Giants, we got to give credit to the Giants. They're a really good run defending team, but it just, the communication was off all day long. You saw people missing blocks, 2 people on the same man constantly. And I just feel like it came down to just, I think they were more prepared than we were. I think they wanted it more than we did. I don't think we played as hard as they did. And it's really a shame when they had nothing to lose and we had everything to lose.
Yeah. I agree. I can't. So, you want to make a point about the offensive line there, Steve? Sorry, I was gonna.
No, go ahead. No, go ahead, Sean. It's all right.
I kind of want to make a point about Kirk. I think we need to talk a little bit about Kirk. And this is kind of where I want to lead off, guys, because this is a good time to talk about it. Kirk Cousins has no clutch gene whatsoever.
Yeah.
I think he's a good quarterback. I think he can make some plays, man. He can make some throws, but he has absolutely no clutch gene at all. And I think when you look at some of the best quarterbacks in the league, they all have it. Even guys that aren't necessarily great, like Joe Flacco. Joe Flacco, this is a point Jamal made on All 32 the other day. Joe Flacco's got a fucking incredible clutch gene. Okay, he plays well when it counts. Kirk Cousins does not. There is no noticeable difference. I think, if anything, he regresses when it counts.
I'm going to slightly disagree with you there. I think that I think he does well in the fourth quarter and late drives, but I think it's the big games that get him.
Yeah.
I think it's the big Monday night football stage, playoffs. He didn't play well last year to get into the playoffs this year, but I want to say he's up there amongst top 5, most fourth quarter comebacks. And, he had the Tampa game and he's done it before, but I think he cracks under pressure in the big games.
And so let's just before we move on, let's just define what you're saying there. Are you saying he actually plays worse in big games, or he just does not rise to the challenge?
I think in the big games, I think he lets the pressure get to him. But when it's
and actually
a
plays
normal
worse.
game, and then he comes in fourth quarter and leads you right down for a game-winning touchdown, and then he comes out on Monday Night Football and lays an egg. You got to think that he has the clutch gene, but it's just not always there.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's a big moment thing. because you're right. I mean, he has had a few, some fourth quarter drives. We came back in that Tampa game last year. That was the big game. But somebody correct me if I'm wrong, but has he ever won a big game? Like a game that we really needed,
Green Bay,
since
this
starter?
Year? I mean, that's probably the closest.
Okay, maybe so. I mean, what was that, week 10? Week 11? All the big games, he didn't come through for us. He didn't come through for us today. He didn't come through for us against Carolina when we needed it. He didn't come through for us in the playoffs against Green Bay last year. When he really needs to rise up, he doesn't. And that's where I agree with Sean. There have been moments and times in less important games where he has come back and had played well in the end of the game. But the big moments doesn't happen for this guy ever, so far.
Yeah.
I think I went back and looked at the schedule. I think in any game other than a 1:00 game, we have like one win all year. If it's not a 1:00 game,
that's a brutal stat.
Yeah, because I mean, think about it. We won the Green Bay game, like I said, that was prime time. But the 2 Monday night games we lost. We lost Thanksgiving. We lost 2 4:00 games now in Arizona and New York. And we tied in London at 9 a.m.
Yeah.
Well, Adam,
there you go.
Talk to us about schedule, because you've played in, with Virginia Tech, you've played in big games and you've played in not so big games. Is there a routine to the scheduling that can throw off teams? I find it hard to believe that a good team would be affected as much as the Redskins have been.
I think maybe those 2 games where we came off the late Sunday night game and then had to play Thursday. In terms of that kind of scheduling, I can see that affecting you, but not playing at 8 o'clock rather than playing at 1 o'clock. I don't see that as a factor whatsoever. You just get more time to you get to sleep in a little bit extra when you got a 8 o'clock game.
Nap coach.
Maybe.
I think it's.
I don't buy that being an excuse at all.
I don't really buy it either.
I don't think it's a good excuse. I'm just pointing out something that happened.
Yeah.
I think it's an inconsistent team, is what it is, more than anything.
Yeah.
Well, let's
don't prepare well.
Well, and can we talk a little bit, because we were just talking about Kirk Cousins, we were just talking about the offensive line. Can we talk a little bit about that preparation? So it seemed to me, let's talk about his 2 interceptions. Okay, so his first interception, he throws it to Harris, I believe. Harris falls over.
Right.
Maybe you don't necessarily put that one on him. Second interception there at the end of the game, which was really the game killer. It seemed like, Adam, he was taking some serious pressure, which drew him off center, and he had to kind of make a throw without planting his foot, and you saw the result. Is that what was pressure? What got to him? What happened?
Yeah. The left defensive end hit Moses with a nice little hump move. I thought Moses did a good job kind of riding him down the line, but I think Kirk just needed to step up and run. He had a big gap in the field. He probably could have got a first down. And I think he got nervous and tried to do too much and floated it. And it's a shame because, if he threw it maybe a second earlier, Garcon had a good 4 feet of separation.
Can I just say that's something I noticed in Kirk a lot. There are a lot of times where he could easily run for the first down, and I appreciate that he's looking downfield. Like he had that bootleg where he hit Davis, and Davis dropped it. He could have easily run that for
popped
a first
it up
down.
in the air.
Yeah.
Well, I think this offense, we're not in the meeting rooms.
Right.
My personal opinion, based on nothing but a hunch, is that Jay probably discourages the quarterback to scramble.
Yeah,
I don't
most
really
coaches
think
do.
they want that in the quarter. I think Jay does it more than most. I don't think Jay Gruden wants his quarterback scrambling. I don't think that's really a staple of what he does. I think they'd rather have him hang in there and dump it off to somebody. So I personally, I have nothing to base that on other than that's just what I think. But I think Jay isn't telling him not to scramble.
Yeah.
Probably.
Yeah, I agree.
But, in these moments, this is the time that you have to do it. What does it all come down to other than this? So it's just disappointing to see if he has an opportunity there to keep the game alive. This was a game that was lost, honestly, on a handful of plays. Like we said, it really wasn't out of hand. You got to do what you got to do to get the yards.
Right.
Well, they came out really flat, and the offense came out really flat in the first half.
Pathetic.
We had
7 first downs, I think they said, right in the second half, and then we had 5 in one drive in the third quarter.
Yeah, well, we had 6 drives at halftime, and 5 of them were punts, and one of them was the crazy missed field goal. That's about as bad an offensive half as we've played all year, and we know that we told you in the preview the Giants had one of the best pass defenses in the league.
Right.
You know, and I think they do. But
Yeah.
we just came out flat. We didn't look like we wanted it. They didn't look like they had heart. They didn't look like they were prepared. You know, and you got to blame the coaches as well as the players for that.
Yeah, something I noticed. Let me know if you guys saw this too. But usually we have a bunch of those quick little 5-yard hitches, dump it off, get Kirk in rhythm. And I just did not see a lot of that this game. I saw a lot of them trying to go down the field, trying to get those 12-yard digs, 5, 7-step drops that just ended up taking a lot of time. And he never really got into a rhythm. And he just seems to be so much better when he's getting those quick little 3-yard plays to set him up.
Not only did I pick up on it too, where I was picking up on it the most, third downs. You know, we were in a lot of third and longs, you know, not super long, but, you know, 7, 9, something like that. And you could tell Spagnuolo was bringing blitzes every third down on us, right? Why aren't you running some quick slant, something that develops in 3 steps, rather than these 5-step drops where Kirk was getting sacked time after time after time?
Well, you know, I think you guys are right, and how to tell you're right from a statistical perspective is that Jordan Reed only had 6 targets.
Right.
You know,
Wow.
normally on a day when he's healthy, you know, he's got the most targets. He's usually up to 10 or 12 targets.
Right.
You know, on good days, and he's the guy when everything else goes to heck. You know, and there's blitzes, and Kirk needs to get in rhythm. He's always looking for Jordan Reed.
Mr. Go-To, yeah.
On a drag route, on a simple slant, something like that. And he didn't really do that very much today.
Right.
You're right. It was kind of an un-West Coast offense like day in the first half.
Maybe they got out of rhythm, you know. It was like Reed missed some time, and it's like Garcon became that guy for a couple weeks.
Maybe so.
It could be
You know?
that. Yeah, this was the first time I think Reed looked close to himself. I mean, I would be shocked if he's not hurting every time he was getting hit, but
Yeah, totally.
you know, I think he's.
Well, you
trying
could
to
see
play
him
through
diving
things
under
still.
tacklers too, so he didn't get hit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's right. You did see some of that. Yeah, I don't know. It's just altogether, I think, a pretty uninspiring performance for what was supposed to be this team's, major ability. So with that, do we want to talk about defense?
Oof.
Yeah, let's oof it up. So, I mean, let's start by saying, to their due credit, again,
They played good.
they played good in a lot of aspects, okay? What I think they failed on, and Steve, you can promptly prove me wrong, I'm sure, with statistics, but what it seemed like happened was they let up drives were too long. They let up too many first downs. They let Giants stick around, waste time, and that's what happened. So.
Well, let's. I'm going to throw 2 sets of numbers at you. One, here's the game numbers. Eli Manning, 17 for 27, 180 yards, no touchdowns, no interceptions, 1 sack. 82.3 quarterback rating. Paul Perkins ran up, down, over, through, everything. 21 carries, 102 yards, 4.9 yards per carry. Rashad Jennings stunk, 18 carries, 52 yards. Sterling Shepard had the 1 carry on on that sweep. There was 1 catch, carry 7 yards. Will Tye, 4 receptions, 47 yards. Odell Beckham Jr. and I have a rant about this, but we'll save it. Odell Beckham Jr. 5 receptions, 44 yards. Sterling Shepard 3 catches, 30 yards, and it went down from there. Yeah, and 1 face mask that didn't get called, and that was basically offense for the New York Giants. Now, point is this: at the halftime, Eli Manning 12 of 18, 112 yards. The man threw 5 passes in the second half. Okay. Yes, he was out there.
Wow.
But the Giants were running and gaining a lot. They had 82 yards. They were 19 of 82 in the run at halftime, which is over 4 yards carry.
Very uncharacteristic of them, I believe.
They threw 5 passes in the entire second half. The Giants took their foot off the gas in the second half from an offensive standpoint. That was not just all on the defense. I think
that's embarrassing.
Yeah, but I'll save my rate. So am I right or am I wrong? It looked to me like they were rolling in the first half, and the Giants kind of got,
I mean,
I thought they took their foot off the gas.
Well, didn't I hear during the game that they only had 1 100-yard rushing game all season, and this was it?
This was
By the way, I gotta wait. I just totally screwed up. By the way, let me correct myself. 18. It was a 12 for 18 passes at halftime. They had 27 passes at the end of the game. So he threw 9 passes in the second half. Sorry, go ahead.
Right.
No one was going to angrily write in about that, Steve.
They might have.
No, they wouldn't have.
No, I mean, I what I understand is it makes sense. Okay, so this team who has not found success running the ball all year is able to do it in this game. Why would they do anything else? It's so pathetic that we're singing the same tune we've been singing all season. What do we do with mediocre running backs? We make them look like fantastic running backs.
Right.
If you don't think that happened tonight, you are crazy, because that's exactly what happened tonight. It's kind of a poignant note for the goddamn thing to end on. Because it's exactly what happened. This team didn't have – they protected their guy. They protected their receivers. They didn't put him in any harm's way because they didn't have – it's pathetic. In a must-win game for the Redskins, it's pathetic.
They ran it down our throats, and then they threw it over the middle because we have nobody who can cover any kind of receiver or tight end in the middle of the field. That's I mean, there was that one –
we just expect Jesus to take the wheel.
39-yard play on third down where nobody covered the tight end.
Yeah, and he had about 30 yards after the catch.
Yeah, I mean, that's it all kind of sums up our defense.
Well, Adam, I mean, what do you think? I mean, am I right here or am I wrong?
Yeah, absolutely. Why would you pass if you're getting 8 yards a pop?
Right.
I mean, they didn't even mix it up really. They pretty much just ran power straight at us, and they would get 5 yards a pop right up the middle. And I will give credit. I think Paul Perkins is a fine young running back, and I think he's going to be a really good player for them for a long time. But
we made him look so good.
Yeah, he's not Barry Sanders, for God's sake.
Yeah, at this point, it's just I expected nothing less, and we have a long way to go.
He looks a lot bigger than he's listed at too. Like there was a shot at one point where he was standing next to Ricky John Francois, and I'm like, okay, he's about the size of Ricky John Francois from whatever camera angle this is. Like, there's no way he's 220 or whatever they list him as.
Yeah. And just kind of to follow this up a little bit, 9 passes in the second half, 21 runs. That just says it all. The Giants knew they could run against us. They did run against us. I don't think they really wanted Eli to take too many chances. I don't think they wanted Eli to drop back too many times. They didn't want to get him hurt. But at the same time, it was a division game. They wanted to knock the Redskins out of the playoffs, so they played him. But I think they intentionally played conservative in the second half. And it wasn't just because the run game was working. It was because they wanted to make sure Eli didn't get hurt.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, and it benefits them because they can keep him in game shape, headspace going into the playoffs. He doesn't get cold on the bench. And there was probably never any chance that, Johnson? Was that the backup's name? There was probably no chance he was ever going to play. He hadn't thrown a ball like 5 years in the NFL.
Yeah, 2011.
Yeah, I mean, it's just probably no chance. So, I think it's just really sad when a team can have their way with us in that regard. They don't even have to try.
For 17 games, basically. We haven't had many. This is one of our better defensive performances, and we still, got our asses handed to us.
Well, we knew the Giants weren't going to score a lot of points. That's just not their history.
Right.
But I didn't think they would go for 160 yards rushing.
Point average over the last 5 games, I believe, Steve started.
I really didn't think this team was – I did not expect Paul Perkins to show up like this. I didn't think they were going to run for 160 yards on us or 161 yards on us.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about what's probably one of the bigger matchups this evening. We certainly heard a lot about it from the announcers. Let's talk a little OBJ and Norman. That was certainly a fire show at certain points.
Yeah.
I mean, it would have been worse if Beckham had actually played in the second half, which he really didn't play very much. But this is really where I want to go with it. I'm sick to death of seeing Josh Norman get dumb penalties. They're baiting him. He's losing his composure for a guy. I'll just say this. If the guy is supposed to be, by his own measure, one of the very top cornerbacks in the league, he can't get all these penalties. And he's just not a top corner. Josh Norman cost his team in big ways with his 2 15-yard penalties today. And he's done it all year. He lets these guys get under his skin. He overreacts. A part of being a professional and part of being a top player is to be able to control your emotions. He gets constant hands to the face penalties when he knows they're looking at him. He's gotten several unsportsmanlike conduct penalties this year. All these late hits.
He is the third most penalized player in the league.
I'm surprised he's only the third one. I'm sick to death of it.
Yeah,
I would have benched him today. I really would have.
Yeah, I wouldn't go that far, but I think you have a point. It's definitely cost us in some big moments, but I think to a lesser extent he's almost targeted a little bit. I don't know. He's had a ton of penalties, but I'd say half of the hands to the face that he's gotten called for are just absolute horseshit.
People watch him closely.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's ridiculous. But yeah, he's got to keep his head, and he has against OBJ thus far, but he let him get to him today for sure.
You know, it's an interesting thing, and I'll just say something briefly about this because we have talked about this on All 32. Some of the, in fact, hands down, the best players in the league do tend to be the most penalized. So while it's an incredible frustration point with people like Josh Norman that he continues to get penalties and cost this team, it also looks like the data shows these guys do make up for that by being some of the best players around. So, I mean, it is unacceptable completely because these aren't penalties he needs to get. He could easily eliminate these. So trust me, I'm not arguing there.
Well, particularly the late hit and the unsportsmanlike.
Yeah.
The hands to the face. Okay. Yeah, I mean that one game he got like 3 or 4 of them. Was it against Carolina? I think that happened.
Yeah,
he
had a shit.
No, that was earlier this year. I think it was Cincinnati.
Yeah, I thought some of those were totally bogus. I mean, it was ridiculous. Yeah. But the ones that these 15-yarders he gets repeatedly, he's gotten a bunch of them this year. Mm-hmm. I'm sick to that. I wouldn't have benched him for the entire second half. I mean, I'm overreacting, but I would have sat him for a period of time after that. He's got to learn somehow.
Who are you going to stick on OBJ, though? That's the only reason they don't.
I mean, here's the thing. Those two, I mean, this whole battle between them has kind of lived up to the hype this year, that's for sure.
Oh, yeah.
And
the league loves it. You know they do.
Yeah. Well, they're going to find him, but they, their mouths water about this matchup, which is kind of weird. It's, classic NFL hypocrisy. But, here's the thing. Norman really did win the first matchup, right? I mean, we can say that, the one in week 3. He got under Odell's skin more than vice versa.
He contained
us win the game.
Odell's a guy he can't. Yeah, he can shut down guys. He can't shut down Odell.
Oh, no. I'm not saying that. I'm saying the psychological off the field.
Oh,
yeah, that side of the game.
Yeah,
sure.
But I think this one, Beckham just got to him. I don't know what he did, what he said, but he got to him quickly.
It means a lot when you're coming from a position of it doesn't matter what happens. Then you have the supreme confidence. You have the upper hand. I think that's what it is. Odell Beckham played with confidence because he had no reason not to. But, shit was on the line for Norman. And I think that's when things get under your skin. That's what I would say, at least.
He crossed the team 30 yards today.
You're right.
I would
30
say
yards is too much. 15 is too much.
Carolinian hot temper,
That's right. That's what they're known for. That's right. Well, I don't know, guys. I mean, what do you want to say about this game? Maybe, in general, in summation, I would say this. It seems like this was the quintessential Redskins game. Defense didn't help, and the running game couldn't get going, and you have what you have. So, like I said earlier, I think it's kind of a poignant note to end on. I would kind of ask you guys what you think's the bigger question here. Are we more concerned about defense, or are we more concerned about getting that some kind of running game generated moving into the offseason? That's my question that I pose to you fellas.
I think the defense is the bigger concern. The running game will be easier to solve in the draft because there's more good running backs coming out than there are, elite defenders that we can get in the first round.
Well, that's good to hear.
I agree. I mean, I agree with Alex. The defense has been terrible at times all year and mediocre at best. I mean, the only teams they really held down in the run game have been the worst running teams in the NFL, like Detroit and Minnesota. Minnesota minus Adrian Peterson, 0 run game at all, none. And we held them to pretty good, but everybody else ran all over us. Pretty much everybody all year ran all over us, and it's a personnel fault. For you hate Joe Barry guys who want to string him up. Fine, string him up. I'm all for it. But just remember that we talked about this a couple weeks ago. If you look straight down the middle of the field, the interior of our D line outside of Chris Baker is terrible. Will Compton and Mason Foster, just guys. And Compton, he's got in particular major athletic limitations. Our strong safety, our free safety is terrible. We have serious personnel defects on this team on the defense. Blame Scott McGloin for that. This is season 2. Okay, fine, but he is. He's had failings. Stephen Paya was supposed to be the savior based on his contract, and he wasn't. David Bruton supposed to be top quality safety. He's gone. Both those guys aren't with us anymore. So you got to blame Joe Barry all you want. But we have a serious personnel problem. Run game, Rob Kelly hasn't showed enough to be given the reins. But yeah, it's easier solved, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would agree. I think we're maybe a left guard and another running back away from having a totally complete, potent offense. And like you said, we're probably 6-7 starters away from having a complete defense.
I would say 5. I mean, I still haven't given up on Breland, but that's just me being an optimist.
No, it's so hard to tell. There's such deficiencies. It's so hard to tell necessarily where the specific problems even lie. Yeah.
I mean, you can say, "Oh, we need everything in the middle of the field," but I think personally, I still am in the if we got 2 good defensive tackles in the middle of that field, it would make guys like Compton and Foster look like studs.
Of course it would. I mean, it would certainly it'd be a lot
disagree.
better. It wouldn't make them look like studs, but they would have an easier time of it for sure. I mean,
I think Foster would look okay. I don't think anyone could make Compton look better than he is. He's very frustrating to watch.
And somebody decided he was better than Perry Riley.
Right.
Just remember that.
Well,
see, this is a good.
Perry Riley was struggling too. I think there is a system problem, which is why I'm
with getting Perry Riley was a lot more expensive too. Is the other thing.
Yeah.
Moneyball.
Well, this is a good, nice, meaty conversation that perhaps we should save for our season recap episode, which is coming probably next week here. We're going to kind of wrap up the whole thing and take our big picture perspectives there. So let's save it for that. Anything else you guys want to say about this game? I mean, this is our final, I'm sad to say, this is our final game recap of the season. And what a season it's been, fellas. Kind of sad.
Yeah, I'll end it on a happy note. I mean,
my man.
Growing up a Redskins fan my whole life, I've never been accustomed to winning at all. I've had to grind through so many 3 and 4 win seasons, and to come off 7 wins in 2 years to 2 back-to-back winning seasons and playoff push. I can't complain too much as a Redskins fan. I like the direction we're heading, and I think this offseason is going to mean a lot for the way this team is heading.
Yeah. Well, I think you got a good point there. So I hope you're right, man. And that was the perfect note to end it on. So with that, we will go ahead and wrap up the season, unless we have a final thought.
To keep the optimism.
On the peanut
going,
gallery.
This season lasted up until 1 minute and 20 some seconds into the final game. So, that's pretty good.
Yeah, you make a good point there. When you're playing alive at the end of the season, you know what? You're right. That's a silver lining. You can't ignore that.
Yeah, listen, I mean, it was a negative day today for sure. And we can talk about the flaws in the coaching staff and the personnel on a later day. Mm-hmm. I mean, the positive to this is, the season did go down to the last game of the season this year. We've had years where we didn't get out of September and they were out of contention. We did have a second, we did have a second winning season in a row, so that's good. It was just a bitterly disappointing effort today. It really was. It's hard to be too positive about it, seeing what we saw today.
There were positive moments. There were though. Yeah. It looks like I forgot game balls, so I'll admit it live on air. Do we do game balls, guys? Do we feel confident and positive enough to get game balls
why
out?
Not? If people can muster up a ball to give.
All right, go ahead, Alex.
Grab your sack and muster up a ball. That's right.
Go ahead, Alex. You give yours out first.
Oh, geez. Because there wasn't a whole lot that went on this game. And because I'm going to cheat because somebody messaged this, I'm going to go with Pierre Garçon, as I think, somebody else will.
For the record, he stole that from me. Via our Skype chat. That's bullshit, Alex. Complete bullshit.
Did anyone else do anything all game?
Yes. Yeah, I have another one. Oh. I'm going contrary to the Pierre Garçon order that our host sent out. I'm going Mason Foster. Adam grown from Adam. He had 17 tackles today. Yeah. And so losing effort, but he was all over the field today, and so I got to give it to Mason Foster. You can agree with me, Adam. It's fine.
Yeah.
But Mason Foster.
I thought I was going to be special and sneak up on you guys with that one. But yeah, like you said, he had 17 tackles. He was all over the field, but he also had that big fourth down pass deflection, which would have turned the game if we could score 3 more points. But yeah, I'll go with Mason Foster, and we'll see if he'll be here next year.
I was tempted to give a game ball to Paul Perkins, but I guess we can't do that.
Yeah, well, he deserves it. I think he earned it, frankly. I will, and this is a true tragedy, I have to say it this way, I will echo Alex's sentiment
I'm
say
pretty sure we
Pierre
made
Garçon.
it clear I was stealing it from you, Sean. It's okay.
No, you're right. You're right. All credit goes to me. No, I mean, it's obvious. I can't take any credit. I feel like, Mason Foster's a great call out, but Pierre Garçon had a great game tonight. He kept some drives alive, including on 3rd and long. And I think he's had sort of a career resurgence here this year. I loved him a couple years ago. I love him now. I hope to see him around, and I think it's much more likely he will be here. So I'm glad to call him a Redskin. I think he proved any doubters wrong. So that's what I'll go with, and maybe with that we'll close out, folks. To just give you an idea of what's in store for the next few weeks. Like I said, we have more Hawks Die episodes to come. We're going to continue to follow Redskins news and also do a season in review episode. Please check out All 32, which is the second show now on the Hawks Die Podcast Network. You can check it out in all the usual places on our website and also on our iTunes page. Awesome stuff. It's me and Jamal Forrest right now, so these guys are going to join us as well at times, and this is a show that really focuses on what's going on with the other teams in the league, so stick with that as the playoffs go along. Lots of good stuff there. Anything else, guys?
Off-season starts now. This is my time to shine. Mock drafts and all that stuff, baby.
Get yourselves ready, folks. Yeah, because it's coming. All right, we'll see you next time then. Take care.
Boo hiss.